in Mago Reddit. Today's story is...
My sister recorded my secrets to humiliate me, so I exposed hers in front of the whole family. Instant karma that cost me everything. Hi everyone, my name is Dixie, I'm 18, and my older sister Bethany is 20. I should start by saying that Bethany is practically the definition of perfection. She has absolutely everything: extraordinary beauty and outstanding intelligence. She was president of the student council and was even crowned prom queen. She has always been the star, the person everyone looks up to. Meanwhile, I'm more laid back and relaxed. I do well academically, but I'm not really interested in all those extra activities. My parents love comparing us, which honestly gets tiring over time. They constantly praise Bethany while minimizing my achievements. No matter how hard I try, I never seem to be good enough in their eyes. We have a peculiar situation with our birthdays. You see, mine is just 2 days after Bethany's. Every year, they organize a huge celebration for her, inviting all her friends, the extended family, practically everyone. It's quite an event with full decorations, cake, presents, the whole package. But when my birthday comes around, they argue that we can't invite anyone over again so soon. And I end up with a small, almost forgotten celebration. It's not that they don't celebrate me at all. It's just that I've always felt that they don't want me to take the spotlight away from Bethany during her week. The truth is that it hurts. I've always felt under her shadow, and it was clear that I was not a source of pride for them. Bethany generally acted indifferent about it. Sometimes she behaved as if I didn't exist, but on other occasions she could be truly cruel. I don't think she understood how much it affected me. However, the constant comparison with her really hurt me. I remember times when I asked for a little attention, and she simply ignored it or made me feel silly for needing it. It wasn't the best situation, to put it mildly. But then, about a week before Bethany's birthday, something completely unexpected happened. She started taking an interest in my life for the first time. She genuinely asked how I was, what was going on with me, and for the first time she didn't act like the perfect sister, while I was a mere supporting character. We spent the whole night talking, literally until dawn. I started opening up about some things that were bothering me, like the anxiety I had been feeling lately, especially with college on the horizon. I even mentioned that I was considering visiting a therapist because things had become overwhelming. I couldn't believe I was actually talking to her about this, but it felt good. It felt like someone was finally listening to me. For the first time, I didn't feel like the invisible sister in the background. It was like we were finally connecting. Naturally, when my birthday came around, I was excited. I thought maybe this year would be different. Bethany even insisted that I should have a big birthday party, and, to my amazement, my parents agreed. They were completely on board, and for the first time, I wouldn't be left out. I was elated. I invited all my friends, family, basically everyone I could think of, and they all came. Bethany was even making an amazing video for me that she planned to show at the party. She said it would be the highlight of the night. It all seemed wonderful, I thought. This was the birthday I had always dreamed of. But then something totally unexpected happened. My Aunt Ruby, 45, pulled me aside during the party, and I thought she just wanted to congratulate me. But no, she had something else in mind. She asked me if I needed help with anything, and I was completely confused, not understanding what she was referring to. That's when she dropped the bomb. Apparently, Bethany had shown her the video she had made of me talking about my anxiety, my plans to see a therapist, and basically all those vulnerable moments I had shared with her. I was shocked. Completely shocked. Not only had she recorded me without my consent, but now she was showing it to everyone, as Aunt Ruby was proving. I was so furious I didn't even know how to react. And then, it got worse. Aunt Ruby told me that Bethany had lots of other videos too. Videos where she talked about my crushes, some weird dates I'd been on, and random personal stuff I considered private. And then the worst thought hit me. Was she planning to show them all during the party in front of the family? The idea sent shivers down my spine. I felt like my whole life was about to be exposed to everyone, and I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. My sister, the person I thought I could trust, was simply throwing my privacy out the window. I'll be honest. At that moment, I was beyond furious. I wanted to do something in response, something to make her feel the same way I did. So I decided to take revenge. Bethany has a secret Instagram account, right? One that she uses for all her private stuff. She even has one specifically for our parents and family, but I never had access to it. But like I said, I was furious, and I would make sure she knew how she felt. So I did what any vengeful sister would do. I took her phone. I know, it wasn't the best idea, but honestly, I wasn't thinking straight at the time. Her password was extremely easy to guess. Seriously, who uses something so obvious? I accessed her secret Instagram, and there was her whole hidden life, the one she thought nobody knew about. I saved all the photos from her account, pictures of her at parties, kissing boys, and even one where she was kissing a girl. I don't know why, but seeing this last one felt like an extra slap in the face. It was like I was this perfect, untouchable person in the family, and now I had something to use against her. So what did I do? I took those photos and showed them to everyone at the party on the projector. Yes, I did that. I'm not even gonna lie. I felt a certain satisfaction seeing her face turn bright red when people started to see her secret life. Now here we are. My parents are furious. Bethany is furious, and honestly, I'm not sure if I've crossed a line. I admit I was vindictive, but it's not like I exposed anything really harmful. They were just his little secrets that he thought he could hide from everyone. But now the whole family knows everything. And yes, I probably shouldn't have gone that far, but at the time it felt like a way to get back at him for betraying my trust. So Reddit, did I go too far with this? Was it wrong to expose their secrets like that, or was it a justified response to their betrayal? Honestly, I'm torn, but I don't think I can take back what happened. What do you think? Update 1. Hi everyone! A week has passed since I shared this story and things have worsened considerably. I honestly thought the situation would calm down after the party. Maybe some awkwardness, some tense conversations, and then life would return to normal. But no. My parents reacted explosively, reaching a level of anger from which there is no return. After the projector incident, my parents were furious with both of us. You would think that they would at least listen to me and understand why I did what I did. But no, in their eyes, I committed a terrible crime by exposing family secrets. The irony is that Bethany did exactly the same thing to me, except worse, because she recorded me without my consent and was ready to publicly humiliate me in front of everyone. But somehow that didn't matter. What mattered was that I had exposed the perfect daughter, the one they could never find fault with. My mother screamed about how ashamed she was of Bethany, which, okay, I get. Some of those photos were pretty intense. Parties, kissing boys, kissing a girl, which wouldn't have been a problem if our family wasn't so traditional. But instead of focusing on how twisted it was that Bethany had violated my trust first, they turned on me. They said I was just as bad for doing something so vindictive, for embarrassing the family in front of all our relatives. My father kept saying things like, "You had no right to do that, and that's not how we deal with problems in this family." But what am I supposed to do when every time I try to handle things properly, they ignore me? When I try to express my feelings, they ignore me. When I try to defend myself, I'm causing drama. And now, apparently, when I get a little justice, I'm ruining the family reputation. And then they dropped the bomb. They're throwing me out of the house. Yes, they actually said it. My father directly informed me that I had 1 week to find another place to stay because they can't have someone who disrespects the family living under their roof. I was speechless. I honestly thought they were bluffing at first, just saying it in the heat of the moment. But no, they were completely serious. I tried to explain my side again, but they wouldn't have it. My mom just shook her head and said, "You crossed a line, Dixie. You don't do that to your own sister." As if it's totally acceptable for my own sister to do that to me. That's not crossing a line, apparently. Bethany, by the way, hasn't even tried to defend me. Not that I expected her to, but part of me thought that maybe she would feel some guilt, but no. She's just sulking, playing the victim, acting like I've ruined her life. I heard her tell my mom that she didn't even mean to hurt me, and that the video she made was supposed to be fun and lighthearted. As if showing everyone my private thoughts, my anxieties, my embarrassing crushes and personal struggles was something to laugh about. And the worst part is that my parents believed her. My mom actually said, "She wasn't trying to humiliate you, Dixie. She just made a mistake." Oh, so she makes one mistake and she gets sympathy, I retaliate, and I get kicked out. Someone explain the logic to me. So now I have a week to decide what to do. I was planning to take a gap year before university. I'm still waiting for my acceptance letter, so it's not like I can just pack up and move into a university residence. I have a job, but I don't earn anywhere near enough to afford my own place, not even a small studio. I have some savings, but again, it's not enough to cover rent, deposits, and just survive. I'm honestly going crazy. I've never lived alone, and I have no idea how I'm going to handle this. I guess I could try staying with a friend, but I don't want to be a burden. Most of my friends still live with their parents, and I doubt their families would be happy to have an extra person, especially one with family drama attached. I have some family members, but considering they were all at the party and saw everything that happened, I doubt they'd be willing to take my side. Aunt Ruby might be an option, as she at least seemed concerned when she warned me about the video. But she's always preferred to stay out of family conflicts, so I don't know if she'd want to get involved. I've been looking for cheap rooms to rent, but the prices are extortionate and most require deposits that I simply don't have. I could try to find a second job, but that would take time, and I only have a week. I feel like I'm running out of options, and honestly, I'm devastated. Not even about having to leave my house, but about the fact that my parents were willing to throw me out so easily. I always knew they favored Bethany, but I guess part of me hoped they still loved me enough not to abandon me like that. It hurts deeply. So, Reddit, any advice? What would you do in my situation? I'm open to any suggestions at this point. Update 2. Hi, everyone. I know it's been 2 months, but my life has been in chaos. I thought I'd have some time to process everything, but no, it's been one thing after another. After my parents threw me out, I first asked Aunt Ruby if I could stay with her for a few months until I got my university results. She refused, saying she didn't have the space, which, well, I can understand. Then I asked my grandparents, thinking they would surely accept because, well, they are my grandparents, but they basically gave me the same answer. That hurt. I always thought that no matter what, family should support you. It seems I was wrong. At that point, I was pretty desperate. I had a job and some savings, but definitely not enough to get my own place. I was seriously considering sleeping in my car or on friends' sofas when my amazing friend Brenda, 18, stepped in. She asked her parents if I could stay with them for a while, and surprisingly, they agreed. I almost cried when she told me. It was the first time in weeks that I felt that someone really cared about my well-being. So I moved in with Brenda's family, and honestly, they have been extremely kind to me. They don't make me feel like a burden, although I definitely feel that way sometimes. I try to help out as much as possible, washing dishes, cooking, running errands, because the last thing I want is for them to regret taking me in. But then my parents decided there wasn't enough drama, and they started hassling Brenda's parents, literally accosting them in church to tell them they were interfering with their plans by allowing me to stay. Apparently, they thought that kicking me out would teach me a lesson, and Brenda's family was getting in the way of that. What was the lesson supposed to be? That I should just accept being treated like I didn't matter? That I should apologize for existing? Fortunately, Brenda's parents are really decent people, and they put a stop to it quickly. They told my parents that kicking out their own daughter for some petty drama wasn't teaching any lesson, it was just plain cruel. That meant the world to me. It was the first time in my life that I felt like someone was really standing up for me. Meanwhile, Bethany only received a warning. My parents said they would disown her if she didn't change her behavior, but of course, they didn't really do anything. She is still in her university residence, living her life probably without feeling any consequences for what she did. Typical preferential treatment. I won't lie, living with Brenda's family has been strange. Not because of them, they've been wonderful. It's because of this strange mix of gratitude and guilt that I feel. I am immensely grateful that they took me in, but I also keep asking myself, why did it have to come to this? Why did my own family so easily dismiss me? It's hard not to let that affect my mind. I've also been getting messages from Bethany, who keeps telling me she's going to ruin my life just like I ruined hers. Honestly, at first I thought she was just being dramatic. Yes, I exposed her secret Instagram, but let's face it, she wasn't an innocent victim in all this. She literally recorded me without my consent and planned to humiliate me in front of all our family and friends. But according to her, I'm the villain. I initially ignored her messages, but they kept coming. Some were just cruel, like, "I hope you enjoy being homeless, loser." Others were downright disturbing. "I'll make sure you regret messing with me." I don't even know what she thinks she can do, but the constant bullying affected me. I started to feel this wave of anxiety every time my phone rang, fearing it was another message from her. It became so intense that I actually started seeing a therapist. Admitting that I needed therapy was a big step for me. My family has always thought that therapy is for weak people, or people looking for excuses for their bad behavior. So although I always knew I needed help, I never really considered it an option until now. It was Brenda's parents who encouraged me, and honestly, therapy has been helping. It's slow progress, but just having someone listen to me and validate my feelings has been revolutionary. But just when I was starting to have some stability in my life, of course, something else had to go wrong. Last week, I was accepted into one of the universities I applied to. It wasn't my absolute first choice, but it was better than my backup options, so I was genuinely excited about it. For the first time in months, I felt like things might be starting to get better. The problem is that my formal acceptance letter and financial aid package were sent to my parents' address, which meant that I had to go back to their house to get it. I knew it would be awkward, but I thought, okay, maybe they'd just let me grab my stuff and go. At the very least, they could pretend to be civil for 5 minutes, right? I showed up at the house and knocked on the door. No answer. I rang the bell, nothing. I tried calling my mom's phone, and it went straight to voicemail. So I knocked again, and again, and again. I must have been standing outside that door for 4 hours just waiting. At one point, I even saw movement through the window, so I knew they were there. They were simply refusing point blank to open the door for me. How petty can a person be? You kick out your own daughter, and then when she comes back for important university documents, you just ignore her? I was getting more and more frustrated, but I didn't want to start screaming outside like a desperate woman, so I left. Now I have no idea what to do. My financial aid package is in that letter, and I need it. The university said they sent the documentation by regular mail, so there's no tracking number or anything. I already called them and they said they could send another one, but it would take a couple of weeks, and I don't know if I have that kind of time. I also don't know if my mom really threw away the letter, or if she's just holding it out of spite. Does anyone know what I can do legally? Do I have any rights in this situation, or am I just screwed? Update 3. Wow, I honestly didn't think it would come to this, but here we are. I'm officially done with them. For real this time. So yeah, I ended up waiting for the second package because there really wasn't much else I could do. But of course, nothing in my life is simple. It turns out I still needed a lot of documents from my parents for financial aid. Tax returns, signatures, proof of income. You know, all this stuff that normal parents would just give their kid without turning it into an all-out war. But as we've established, my parents aren't normal. At first, I tried asking nicely via text, no response. I called, straight to voicemail. Brenda even suggested I try to get one of my aunts to talk to them on my behalf, but no. Aunt Ruby was hardly willing to help me when I needed a place to stay, and the rest of my family was either indifferent or actively avoiding me. So I had to get creative, and that's when it hit me. I knew exactly where my parents would be that Sunday, at church. Before you think I went in there and caused a dramatic scene, I didn't. I just waited until the service was over, walked straight up to them in front of the pastor, and started talking loudly. I was polite, I was respectful, but I made sure that everyone around could hear me. "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I really need those documents for my financial aid. Can we talk about it now?" The expressions on their faces were incredible. My mother looked like she had swallowed something bitter, and my father went completely red. I could see the thoughts spinning in their heads. Do we make a scene in the church, or do we pretend normality? They reluctantly agreed, but as soon as we left, my mother grabbed my arm, took me aside, and whispered fiercely. She really whispered in that low, furious voice, "What kind of game are you playing?" And I just exploded. I was sick of games. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "If you try to interfere with my university admissions, I will make sure that everyone in this church knows exactly what kind of parents you are. I will make sure that you are so ashamed that you can never show your face here again." And just like that, I had them cornered. It was almost fun, really. All my life, they'd used shame and public image as a weapon against me. They'd ignored me, belittled me, made me feel inferior just because I wasn't Bethany. But the moment I changed the rules, I used their own game against them. Suddenly, they wanted to cooperate. To cut a long story short, they handed me every document I needed. I got their signatures, I checked everything twice before walking away. And best of all, that was it. I don't have to deal with them anymore. No more begging for scraps of attention, no more fighting for what should have been basic parental support, no more feeling like an afterthought. I have everything I need to move forward. I won't lie, it still hurts. There's a part of me that wishes they had just been better, that they had loved me like they loved Bethany. But at the end of the day, I can't change them, and honestly, I don't even want to try anymore. I'm free now, and I'll never look back. Update 4. Wow, I really thought I was done with all this. I thought I had finally resolved everything and could just move on. But no, my mother had to make one last play before my departure. So yes, I'm off to university tomorrow. It still doesn't feel real, but I'm excited and terrified at the same time. I was trying to be responsible, making a list of everything I needed to pack, when I realized that there were still a lot of my belongings at home. Clothes, blankets, and some personal things that I really valued. Normal objects that any reasonable person would assume I could take with me. I sent my mother a message just out of courtesy. I wasn't even asking, I just informed her. I'll come by to pick up the rest of my stuff. She saw the message but didn't even bother to reply. I should have anticipated at that moment that I was about to do something unpleasant. Anyway, I went the next day. The front door was open, so I just walked in. I thought, hey, technically it's still my home too, right? I used to live there. My room was still my room. My stuff was still my stuff. I started packing, minding my own business, when my mom suddenly burst into the room. Without touching, without warning, she just walked in as if she were catching me stealing. "What do you think you're doing?" she asked dramatically. I just stared at her, holding a half-folded sweatshirt. "I'm packing," I replied. She crossed her arms and gave me that look. The motherly look that means she's about to completely ruin your day. "Those aren't your things," she declared. I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. Seriously? I literally bought some of the stuff with my own money. My clothes, my books, even my sheets. What was she talking about? But no, she was completely serious. She explained that since she and my father had technically bought most of those things over the years, they belonged to her. And since she had decided to disrespect this family, I had no right to take anything. I was standing there looking at her, trying to process what kind of madness I was facing. And she just took my suitcase. She physically snatched it from me and ordered me to leave. I honestly don't even remember what I said next. I think I just stood there for a full minute, too stunned to speak, before grabbing my phone and leaving. There was no point in arguing. I wasn't going to win. She wanted to provoke a reaction from me, and I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction. That hurt deeply. I had already accepted that my parents didn't really care, but this was different. This was pure malice. It was just one last mean-spirited way for my mother to make sure I knew I was no longer welcome. So I left with nothing. I don't even remember having let off so much steam, but I must have mentioned it to Brenda because the next day her parents took me shopping. And I don't mean a little outing. They completely spoiled me. New clothes, toiletries, towels, bedding, literally everything my mother had refused to let me have. They even bought me some plates and a nice lamp for my bedroom. I cried. I never cry in front of other people, but I just broke down in the middle of the store. These weren't even my biological parents, and yet, in that moment, they had done more for me than my real family ever had. Honestly, the last few days have been a blur. Between packing, last-minute shopping, and trying not to completely collapse, I haven't had much time to process everything. But now that I'm sitting here, reflecting on it all, I realize something. I don't feel as angry as I thought I would. Don't get me wrong, I'm upset. I'm hurt that my parents could be so cruel, making it clear that I was never truly loved. But at the same time, there is this strange feeling of relief. I no longer have to keep seeking their approval. I no longer have to spend every holiday pretending not to notice how much they favor Bethany. I no longer have to put up with my mother's passive-aggressive comments or my father's indifference. I am free. And maybe that's the best thing that could have happened to me. Brenda's family has been extraordinary. They even organized a small farewell dinner last night just to celebrate this new chapter in my life. Brenda's father assured me that their home will always be open to me, no matter what happens. That gesture meant more than I can express with words. I also want to thank everyone who has been listening and helping me through this situation. Despite all the chaos and pain, I have found people who really care about me, and that gives me hope for the future. Tomorrow I start a new phase. I'm nervous, scared, and excited all at the same time. I don't know what to expect at university, but I know that whatever it is, it will be better than what I left behind. I will no longer be living under Bethany's shadow or dealing with parents who never valued me as they should have. This experience has taught me a lot about who I can really trust. Sometimes family is not about blood, but about the people who pick you up when you are at your worst, who support you unconditionally and make you feel valued for simply being you. I have learned to value myself. I no longer need validation from my parents or approval from my sister. I am enough as I am, with my qualities and my flaws. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm looking forward to it. This story isn't over, but at least now I'm the one writing the next chapters. Thanks for joining me on this journey, Reddit. I'll keep you posted on how I get on in this new phase of my life.